I came very new to JavaFX when I created this presentation. So this was, I guess, so this is not coming from a point of view of I've built enormous enterprise JavaFX applications. But what I really want to show is that I found it quite easy to get to grips with it fairly straightforwardly. And what we have here is, what we will have, is an animated UI. So hopefully what I'm going to demonstrate is the fact that it's quite simple to get started with JavaFX without really understanding that much about UI programming, about JavaFX specifically, or having come from a sort of Swing background maybe and migrating your knowledge to JavaFX. So let's take a look at this. We're going to, obviously, this is our main class, so we're going to build this up as we go along through this tutorial. So I'm not going to go into the details of everything yet, because this will get built up gradually over time. Who's done Swing programming before? A few of you. I mean, like when we get taught the basics of Java, sometimes we get taught the basics of Swing to show how not to build UIs in Java. Or, I don't know, not. So if you've done Swing or applet programming, I think it's probably not super unfamiliar, but it's not so complicated that you need that background to understand what you need. So I have a dashboard which extends application. I create a method called start. This happens to take a thing called stage. And this is what I need. This is all I need to get started building a JavaFX application. And then let me strip out all the stuff you don't need right at the beginning. So you don't need any of this, and you don't need any of this. Okay? Now, in JavaFX, it provides you, well, I'd say obviously, it should be obviously, with a way of separating out the model, the view, and the controller. I mean, there are lots of different types of MVC and lots of different ways of providing that separation of concerns, but JavaFX provides you a number of different ways to separate out your view from your controller, from your logic. And one of the ways that you can provide the details about how to render the view is through fxml. Now, originally I thought, well, so you can do it with fxml or you can do it in Java. In the same way that in Swing you could sort of create a new, I don't know, vertical panel, I can't remember what they're called in Swing, or GWT. You know, you create a new panel and you add buttons to that panel and you set the layout and stuff programmatically in Java. You can do that in JavaFX, or you can do it in fxml. So if we have a look at this, we're having a look for my dashboard fxml. Now, I think probably these days most of us are doing HTML front ends if you're doing web front ends. So fxml is not an unfamiliar way of building up your UI if you're used to using HTML. We will look at how this builds up over time. There's nothing in here at the moment because I have created no UI at all. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to provide a very clear separation between what was the visual logic, what was the layout, what was purely view, from what is logic, what is kind of the business logic, what is the glue at the back end. So I decided to use the fxml to render the view so that we don't accidentally smoosh together our view logic and our business logic and our controllers, because whenever you're doing UI programming, that's like a really easy mistake to fall into. And with JavaFX, if you separate the UI into the fxml, at least you get that clean separation of your view from the rest of your logic. So that's all you really need to get started. You have a start method. You tell it, if you're using fxml, you tell it where to find the fxml. You can set a title, you can set a size. You can use CSS to style it, which I also thought was kind of weird. But if you've been doing any web programming for the last 15 years, it probably took you 15 years to learn how to use CSS. So you might as well use it in fxml. There's a lot of custom JavaFX CSS tags, but at least it's a fairly, and again, it's another fairly nice way to provide the separation between the structure of the view and some of the rendering of the view, perhaps colors, perhaps sizes. So you can give the CSS to designers if you want, and they can work on the CSS side of stuff separate from, they don't have to get messy in the Java code. And then you just show the primary stage. So if I run this, I should get a window which is 1024 by 1024 with my title. Nothing else, but that's what I should get. So we've popped up a window. It's more or less the right size, and it says Twitter Dashboard at the top. That's the absolute basics of how to get started with a window that's a JavaFX window with nothing in it.